I signed Proclamation number 1081, placing the entire Philippines under martial law. I have also issued general orders for the government in the meantime to control media and other means.
Under the present regime, dictatorial regime of Mr. Marcos, press freedom can never be compatible with a dictatorship. Press freedom can only come about if, first, people will assert their rights, and secondly, there is a democratic form of government.
Yan ang boses ng tatay ko. Halos 3 dekada nang nakalipas. Panahong walang internet, wala pang digital. Wala pa rin akong kamuwang-muwang sa kalagayan ng lipunan. Pinipilit ko itong balikan. Inuunawa ang kasaysayan. Ang unang pinuntahan, ang aling nagbitbit sa akin ng 9 na buwan sa kanyang sinapupunan.
Yung panahon na yon, 77, ano siya, ilang taon siya? 32, 35. Ako, 33. Tapos, ikaw noon more than 2 years old. Wala ka pang 3. So, yun ang hinahanap kong pictures ng panahon na yon, kung gaano. Mapayat kami pareho. Ito mo to. Tagal ko na hindi nakita ang picture. Ikaw to eh. Lagi namin pinag-uusapan yung tungkol sa sa work niya sa sa PNOC na Public Information Officer siya, na kinol na daw yung attention niya. Siguro tinatanong siya kung ginagawa niya ba yung trabaho niya, baka hindi sanay yung taga PNOC na hindi nauubos siya ang yung representation. At nakikita niya rin yung sitwasyon na na lahat ng dyaryo, siyempre, controlled ng lahat ng print media, controlled ng Malacanang, controlled ni Marcos. So, hindi nakakalabas yung mga balitang nababalitaan niya. Sabi niya, ano kaya, Mami, mag-counsel tayo? Kausapin natin yung mga bata.
Urong po kaya ng konti yung chair to your left. Sige pa, sige pa.
Dapat wala akong wrinkles dyan. Tapos, ayun, Ito yung picture nun. Ikaw, ganito ka lang kalit nun eh. 2.5 years old ka lang. Tapos si ate mo, 10, 11, 12 siya dito noon. Kinuha itong December 76. Naglabas tayo ng dyaryo, 1977. May 1. So, mga lang ito. Mga 5 months old lang ang picture na ito nung naglabas tayo ng dyaryo. Naalala ko yan dahil yung buhok mo ganyan pa lang.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Wala na ako maalala sa pulong na yon. Ang naalala ko lang, kapag wala ang nanay at tatay ko, kay ate ako tumatakbo.
Madalas siyang magpatawag ng council halos every week kasi ang daming didesisyonan, mga maliliit lang na bagay. Pero ito kasi, maganda yung trabaho niya nun sa PNOC. Dahil sa nangyayari sa martial law, major na decision na bitawan niya yung trabaho sa PNOC para magtayo ng maliit na dyaryo. Ako hindi naman ako masyadong nagsasalita pero ang precisely na naaalala ko si Son at saka si Jay na talagang gusto nila parang susuportahan ka namin, pagmamalaki ka namin. Dahil kung para sa bayan yung gagawin, pagmamalaki ka namin, sige lang, ituloy natin yan. Ganun. Lahat naman sumuporta walang humindi.
Paano ba in-explain ni Daddy na?
Nung sinabi ni Dads na kailangan niyang bitiwan yung trabaho, pero kailangan natin mag-sacrifice dun sa mga luho.
Parang hindi ko naman maalala yung mga sinasabing luho. Ang alam ko lang, palaki ng palaki ang aming pamilya. Mga kapamilyang hindi naman naming kadugo.
Nakita mo yung wedding picture namin? Pag nakikita ng mga bata yan, ang tanong sa akin, maliliit yan sila Jess. Kasi sabi, Mams, bakit ba kinakasalan si Daddy? Sabi ko, bakit? Tinan mo po ang picture. Mukha siyang tukmol.
Yun nga yung pang-Alaska sa amin ng tatay niya. Yung mga iba sa amin na hanggang ngayon, at that time, di marunong mag-swimming. Sabi niya, tignan mo mga anak ko, para mga sirena. Ano po ginagawa niyo sa akin? Ikaw, joke nga namin, magaling naman mag-swimming pala tong batang to, gawin natin salbabida.
Ayan po yung picture na yan.
Oo, yan. First, seminar workshop. Pre-launch na seminar workshop. Grabe, no? Ang papayat namin noon, ako, eto, gitna. When he was recruited to work sa PNOC, sama sa mandate, was to set up a program for energy conservation. So he decided one key plank or pillar of his Enercon campaign would be to use young people. So he had PNOC sponsor a series of Enercon camps throughout the country. So doon kami dumami.
Ang totoo, ako naman talaga shadow niya.
Ako masyado.
Ikaw, taas mo konti yung ganun mo.
Si John noon, naghahanap siya ng mga susulat sa WeForum. So tama-tama, tinutulungan niya kami na i-revive yung College Editors Guild. So yung grupo namin ng mga campus editors, mostly from the University Belt, diyan kami tumatambay sa mezzanine nitong press club. Ang keyword niya noon was independent. We will set up an independent paper. Tuloy, kaya lang yan naging editor kasi hipag ni Joe. Kumawa naman ako. Napag-isipan ako ng ganun ilang beses.
Atras ka mas konti pa. Sige lang po.
Sa pagbukas ng dyaryo, binuksan ang aking isip sa isang panibagong mundo. Sari-saring kwento ang narinig ko tungkol sa martial law. Kahirapan, korupsyon, land grabbing, militarization, curfew, warrantless arrest, political killings, disappearances, sari-saring human rights violations. Napaisip din ako kung di natakot ang nanay ko.
May mga may mga threats na at saka yung obvious na sinusundan kami. Siyempre, meron ng kaba. Baka i-assassinate siya. Kaya nga lagi kami magkasama kasi naniniwala siya na kung may mangyari sa kanya, dapat may kasama siya. Dapat may makakita para alam ko ano nangyari kung kinuha siya o kaya kung patayin man siya. Napag-usapan na namin at the very start na kailangan may alis sa circumstance na may ma-endanger kayo. Yun ang reason din kung bakit inalis niya yung office unti-unti mula sa bahay papuntang National Press Club.
Paano kung magkagulo at wala ang mga magulang ko? Nagbilin din kaya sila sa kuya ko?
Lagi niya rin inuulit sa amin yung danger ng pagiging ganun yung daddy. Kaya lagi niyang binibilin nga every time na alis, pag wala ako, ikaw ang padre de pamilya. Ikaw mag-aalaga sa lahat. Minsan ako nakakasagot ng telepono na may nagmumura, tapos uubusin daw lahat ng ang pamilya, Burgos, kung hindi hihinto si Dads sa ginagawa niya. May mga humihinto rin sa sa harap ng bahay. May mga armadong lalaki bababa. Wala namang gagawin. Nakatingin lang sa bahay. Pero matagal sila ron, mga 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Nakatayo lang sila sa labas ng bahay. May isang lugar dun sa cabinet niya na may lalagyan ng isang susi ng safety deposit box sa isang bangko, na andon ang lahat ng passports natin. Kung sakali, kung magkaguluman, may emergency or kung kinakailangan, ang instructions niya, kunin yung susi, tapos kunin sa safety deposit box yung mga passports, meron dun cash. Kaya na anytime na iutos niya o magkagulo, pwede tayong umalis kaagad ng bansa kung manganganib yung buhay natin. Na-explain niya lahat yon. Kahit sa dinner, sa ordinaryong kwentuhan, una mga joke lang. Huwag niyo ilalagay ang siko niyo sa lamesa kasi paalisin kayo ni Marcos sa Pilipinas. Pinapakita niya sa paraan niya sa pamilya na may taong masama na pwede niyang gawin kahit anong gusto niyang gawin kapag hindi niya nagustuhan yon, kung hindi nagustuhan ni Marcos yung ginagawa mo. Kaya yun na-explain din ni Dads dati na kakaiba yung ginagawa niya. Para sa kanya, kailangan niyang gawin talaga yung ganong bagay. Kasi walang ibang gagawa.
Ano na nga bang laman ng mainstream press habang lumalakas ang alingongaw sa kalsada?
At the time, the mainstream press was largely divided among three main so-called crony newspapers. No? Manila Bulletin, owned by Hans Menzi, syempre, certified Marcos crony. Daily Express, Philippines Daily Express, owned by the Benedictos, the sugar barons. And then Journal, Philippines Journal Inc. It was owned by PJI, but the real man at the helm was Benjamin Cocoy Romualdez, the brother-in-law of the president. We had a lot of colleagues and a lot of principal journalists who were practicing writers and editors there. They were hired sa so-called crony press, but they did a good job of putting out the paper, no? In a technical sense, except that there were, of course, the very real political restrictions. Siyempre, number one, di mo pwedeng banatan yung presidente. Di mo pwedeng banatan yung mga kamag-anak na malapit ng presidente. Hindi mo pwedeng banatan yung mga businessmen or cronies na malapit sa presidente.
I love you. I need you. I miss you. My love, I dearly love you. When you're away and unbearable loneliness.
Habang the true, the good, and the beautiful ang lumalabas sa mainstream press, patuloy ang expose sa WeForum. Maliit man ang sirkulasyon, lumalawak ang mambabasa nito.
Be yours forever.
Marami namang kaibigan ng daddy mo sa gobyerno at iba nga sa kanila naka-uniform. At sila yung nagsasabi sa atin na magdahan-dahan kasi galit na si Marcos. Meron na kaming kutob Napakalakas ng kutob namin. Kasi ang dami ng signs Unang-una, ayaw nila tayong pakabitan ng telepono. Pangalawa, madalas yung office natin nagba-brown out. Pero sa opisina lang natin, kapitbahay, may ilaw. Tsaka marami na rin talagang sumusunod-sunod na napapansin namin. At meron pa ngang okasyon na hinold up yung isang messenger natin, pero ang kinuha, yun lang flats ng dyaryo, pinapadala sa imprenta. Tapos merong speech, naalala ko si Marcos ng veterans celebration. At sinabi niya, hawak niya yung dyaryo, ipapakain ko ito sa publisher. Pinapakita niyang hawak ng dyaryo yung WeForum.
Napikon, nagalit, napuno si Marcos dahil isinawalat ng WeForum ang kanyang binibidang mga war medals ay mga peke pala.
December 7, 1982, I was seated at the front desk. They approached me and asked me, "Where is Mr. Burgos?" So I pointed towards the direction of his office. "Ma'am, sandito na yung hinihintay natin." I heard my husband call out to me. I approached him and looked over his shoulders and saw that he was referring to an arrest order. So I went back to my desk, started calling up the wires, introduced myself as the wife of Joe Burgos, and informed them that an arrest was going on, and if they wanted to cover this, they could rush to our office. Then I called up Senator Rodrigo. Senator Rodrigo is a columnist, a friend, and also a lawyer. And he told me, "Don't let them take Joe away. Wait for me, I'm coming." When Senator Rodrigo arrived, we both went to where Joe was, and he insisted on looking at the document. The document, the arrest order, had a portion which was covered by a piece of paper. He removed this cover and saw, to our surprise, that his name was also there, along with the columnists and the staff members of the newspaper. I was so embarrassed, and I was starting to apologize, but he brushed me aside and told me, "Call the others up, tell them it is safer to be arrested here. If they want, they can come over and we can be taken as a group." Then Senator Rodrigo took me aside, held me in my shoulders, and told me, "You know, Edith, that it is your husband that they want." When the columnists and the staff members arrived, the military herded them into one van, but Joe was separated and was led to another van. After they left, they asked everybody inside the office to go out, except for me and the secretary. The military were all over the office. They were bundling newspapers and files, and I saw them planting evidence into the bundles. Colonel Abadilla, the arresting officer, insisted that I sign the document. He threatened me and told me that I would be brought to the camp if I didn't sign. I did not sign the document. After a few hours of trying to convince me to sign the document and my refusing to sign it, Colonel Abadilla was already pissed off. He clenched his fist, threw a punch, which landed on the wall behind me, just a few inches away from my face. It was at that precise moment, by God's grace, that the lawyers I was calling up earlier arrived. Arno Sanidad, Joker Arroyo, Jojo Binay, Rene Sagisag, and many other Mabini lawyers came.
Bakit kinulungan tatay ko? Yun ang unang pumasok sa utak ko. Yun din ang tanong ko sa mga kapatid ko.
December 8, 1982, 6 p.m. inside my cell. How are my brave kids? Hanip ang dads ninyo, no? Nasa lahat ng mga dyaryo. I want you to behave and don't give moms any problem or any worry.
keep her happy and be happy too. Your dads and his companions are doing a great sacrifice for freedom so that when all children like you grow up, you will also fight for the same things. Tell your friends that your daddy is in prison because he loves them, he loves his country. Peach, son, let your younger brother understand this.
Doon ko naintindihan ang mga katagang tuta, militar, diktador, at ang ibig sabihin ng kalayaan.
Remember now, I love you so much. Kisses and hugs, dads.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Isa pa. Ready?
Ano mo, bitch?
Po?
Nakalimutan ko na to.
Yan. Kaya nga may mga pangalan pa dyan na nakasama eh. Na baka na nakalimutan mo na nandyan.
Oo nga.
At tingin ka nga ron.
Kay HB?
Sinisirox mo na ba ito?
Hindi pa po.
Mams, nakaroll ako ah.
Ang mga nanay.
Naalala mo yung first time na nakita natin si daddy mo pagkatapos siyang kinuha? Sa courtroom yun eh. Nandun tayo sa likod na likod, punong-puno yung courtroom. Hindi tayo makatagos para lumapit. Ikaw, makulit ka talaga. Gusto mo talaga lumapit kay daddy mo. Ginawa mo, isa-isa mong kinakalabit yung tao sa harap mo at sinasabi mo, makidaan po, anak ako ni Joe Burgos. Siyempre magigibway yun. So, unti-unti tayo nakapenetrate hanggat sunod kami ng sunod sa'yo eh. Hanggat nakarating tayo dun sa sundalo na yon yung nasa likod ni daddy mo, mga ilang tao yun na nakaharang. Kinalabit mo yung isa, sabi mo, excuse me, makidaan po, anak po ako ni Joe Burgos. Lumingon siya, tinignan ka. Imbis na tumabi, pinagalitan ka. Sinabing, ang ginagawa mo dito, bata-batang pa, hindi ka dapat nandito. Doon kayo sa labas mga bata. Imbis na matakot ka, tinitigan mo siya. Tapos sabi niya, bakit? Sabi mo, tuta ka ba ni Marcos? Ang lakas ng boses mo, reactan mga tao dun sa tabi natin. Sabi nila, o ka ba, pinapatulan mo yung bata. Tapos, oy, anak daw ni Joe Burgos. Tapos, tumabi na sila, unti-unting tumabi. Hanggat nakarating tayo, hanggat nakaakap ka kay daddy mo, hanggat lumapit ka, ang katabi ni daddy mo yung mga lawyers niya.
May we ask Rene Seguisag, Mr.
After martial law was proclaimed, all the top-notch lawyers did not want to touch a human rights case, a national security case, a subversion case with a 100-foot pole. And I would like to blame and credit Marcos for making human rights lawyering necessary.
Yung lintak na V-Forum trial, 2 beses ako na-contempt dyan eh. Kasi nung unang hearing, ang daming mga nandun na general, mga koronel, civilian court yun eh. Di dapat mas maraming civilians. Ako, may make your honor that this court is getting militarized. I hereby fine you, Attorney Sagisag, 50 pesos. And then mga 2 weeks later, tinanong ko, why this prosecution for subversion when the system is doing nothing against, tinuro ko yung sa kalendaryo, si Makoy, against that super subversive. Contempt. I'll spend the weekend in jail. The most dangerous time noon sa aming karanasan is from arrest and the first public acknowledgement by the authorities that you are in custody. Pero hanggang hindi ka na-acknowledge, anything could happen. kamukha nung pagbisita kina Joe nung una, talagang tatanggalan kayo ng sapatos. Ganun. So some lawyers, very good ones, thought it undignified. Kung ano mang indignity, you have to bear with it dahil the look on the face of your client on seeing you is more than compensation. Pambihira nga yung tsuriya dun subversion by libel. Dahil publication alam namin subversion, yung mga leaflets, yung mga illegally possessed firearms. Pero doon, sina Joe and company committed subversion by libel daw.
Binati ko sa loob at labas ng bansa ang pagkakakulong sa mga mamamahayag. At para lang masabi na di umano'y may respeto ang palasyo, sa malayang pamamahayag, pinalaya ang tatay ko. Ito ang litrato ng paglaya ng tatay ko. Di ko napigilan ang pagtakbo. Di ko napigilan ang mahigpit na yakap. Di ko napigilan ang abot tengang ngiti.
Well, We Forum has been in circulation, or had been in circulation rather, for about 6 years before we were shut down by the military December 7, 1982. About 100 fully armed military people swooped down on my office, arrested me and 9 other people, including our veteran journalists and columnists. And up to now, my office and printing plant are still padlocked and guarded 24 hours a day by the military, and I cannot use my own printing press. And aside from that, I also have a 40 million libel case emanating from the same We Forum case.
Pagkatapos siyang ma-release, nag-call siya ng meeting ng staff members ng We Forum. At sinabi niya sa kanila na itutuloy niya paglabas ng Malaya. Tapos sinabi niya rin na you're free to go. Kung gusto niyo lumipat kayo. Kasi peligroso na nga rin noon. At saka hindi rin namin sila ma-assure na regular ang sweldo nila. But everybody stayed. No one left.
Matigas lang din siguro ang ulo ng tatay ko. 1 linggo paglabas ng preso, nilabas ulit ang dyaryo. Ang pahayagang Malaya.
Tinanong siya ng lawyers niya, bakit siya maglalabas ng Malaya, peligroso na nga. Ang sagot niya, this is the only way I know how to provide for my family.
Tuloy ang paglabas ng dyaryo hanggang sa pangyayaring nagpahinto sa mundo ng maraming Pilipino.
I think the very fact alone that we can land is victory enough. Everything after that's bonus. I mean, whether they put me back in a plane and ship me out or bring me to prison, I promised to return. I have returned against all odds. So that's good enough for me.
Iimbitahan kayo dito.
Saan tayo pumunta?
Dito.
Okay. Daddy ko ito, Brad. Sige, Brad. Thank you. Yeah, come on.
Just come with
I'm his brother-in-law.
Yes, you just take it.
Sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon, nakita kong lumuha ang tatay ko. Kasama ang milyong-milyong Pilipino nagdadalamhati, ang buong pamilya ay nakipila at nakiramay sa pamilya ng kinulong, in-exile at pinatay na political opposition leader, si Ninoy Aquino.
Mapalad tayong makasama ngayong umaga si Mrs. Burgos para ibahagi ang kanilang karanasan sa panahon ng martial law.
When circulation increased after the death of Ninoy, we could not cope with the work. And so, how did we cope? We started expanding and hiring people.
When the Ninoy thing happened, I was going to submit an article sa Who magazine, pero parang yun ang sobra na hindi nila maipapublish. So I called up Joe Burgos. Sabi niya, sige, alika, gamitin natin dito sa paper natin ang pahayagang malaya. Tapos, ang nagulat nga ako, sinabi niya, di kung gusto mo mag-join ka na rin dito.
Ito yung mga files ng Malaya. And mga kung anik-anik na naipon through the years. So I heard of the journal, what happened to the journal, people, di ba? Yung nag-strike sila, tapos nilay off, tapos yun na, yung rally-rally sa harap ng protest rally sa harap ng journal, di ba?
Nag-union kami doon, nagkaroon ng rason sila na tanggalin kami. 300 plus na mga manggagawa. Kinausap namin si Joe Burgos. Sabi namin, Joe, matatanggal kami. Pwede bang ma-absorb ng Malaya?
Malaya, oo. Ready, 3.
Si Joel Paredes called me up. Sabi niya, gusto mong magsulat sa isang dyaryo na pwede mo isulat lahat. Di dyaryong ganun, sabi ko yan. Kasi wala naman akong alam na dyaryong ganun eh. Sabi niya, meron yung kay Joe Burgos.
Tingin ka lang po rito sa camera. Smile lang. Ready. 1, 2. Saan ka nagsuunang umarte? Eskwela talaga.
Tapos CCP. That time, parang nahiya ako na may kinalaman ako sa gobyerno. So I left CCP. Tapos, nag-publish ang Malaya ng wanted writers, reporters. So, walk-in ako.
Na-censor sa Who magazine, na-lay off ng journal, walk-ins, disillusion sa sistema. Ano man ang pinanggalingan, lahat silang nagpatibay sa Malaya.
After the Aquino assassination, there was a sudden mushrooming or blooming of the protest movement. Inevitable na there were also a lot of crackdowns because the more people protested, the more it invited retaliation. A lot of the stories, siguro mga more than 50% were human rights stories. So, dalawang klase lang usually, human rights tsaka anomalies.
Sari-sari ang ginawa ng Estado para sirain, pigilan, takutin ang pagpapahayag ng malaya.
We had a driver na tinutukan ng baril, ganyan din. Dala-dala yung panel.
Kinuha rin yun.
Kinuha din. On at least 2 occasions, there was a military officer who came to the office. Colonel rank siya. And then he wanted to invite our 2 defense reporters. They were very young then, and they wanted to invite them for a series of stories that they were writing. Defense to. So we said, no, you have to talk to them here. Out of town yata nun si Joe. And then he said, we asked for advice. Sabi niya, whatever happens, don't let them be brought anywhere else.
The threat of being closed, detained, etc. has always been there. Every day, 24 hours a day. And our yung phone lines namin, all in our houses, tapped yun. Tapos, may nakasunod sa'yo parate. Tapos yun nga, may threat of closure.
Nagbabago na ang klima. Ang dating taga-Masid lamang ay tumungo na sa kalsada. Lumabas pa ang ibang alternative media, habang ang rehimeng Marcos walang pagbabago.
Si Joe conceived an idea na kailangan meron na tayong fallback. If they want to close the newspaper, they will take me. But even if they take me, kailangan tuloy-tuloy pa rin. What he did was to organize teams. With his instructions, pag merong imminent threat, in a few minutes, wala na yun. No matter what, lalabas dapat ang dyaryo.
Actually, the stories that it began with Marcos. In one occasion, he was being asked what he was going to do with his critics who were getting to be very, very noisy. And then he said, I'm not bothered by them. I'm not bothered by the mosquito press. So that phrase stuck.
I am ready to call a snap election, perhaps earlier than 8 months, perhaps 3 months or less than that. If all these childish claims to popularity on both sides have to be settled, I think we'd better settle it by calling an election.
During the snap elections of 1986, in a particular barrio in Tarlac, a small cluster of Unido Ward leaders had been herded off by the military. Tumakbo siya doon, sumama siya.
Kukuha ko ng pictures. Hanggang ngayon, sinama na ako doon sa van. Dinala na, tapos yun, ginulpi kami doon sa City Hall yung it was Municipal Hall pala. Dinala kami doon. And then, biglang nung hapon, dumating si Oliver Lozano. I think he was then a lawyer ni Ware or basta siya yung nandun. Tapos, he wanted me to do an affidavit saying na nakita ko na ang nag-provoke yung mga NAMFREL. So, ang sabi ko sa kanya, Malabo naman ata yan kasi paano naman ano yun eh, ang dala-dala nila ID at saka ballpen. Tapos yun yung mga bata nyo dyan, sila yung may mga baril, di ba? Paano naman na mangyayari yun? So kaya sabi niya, pagka ganyan, kasama ka dun sa kaso. And worse, ako daw yung nag-instigate dun sa mga NAMFREL na gulpiin namin yung ano, di ba?
So Joe realized that we were racing against time, and the most important thing was that maitimbre, just in case they had other plans there. Because, syempre, di mo alam nun, that was Dandingco country at the time. Ang una niyang na-contact, si Doña Aurora Aquino. He asked Doña Aurora if she had heard of it, and then she was shocked and she was angry. She went with a bag full of clothes and some food, and then she said, "I'm here to see the detains." And then, according to yung witnesses later, talagang pagpasok daw niya, para natulala lahat ng sundalo, from the highest to the lowest ranked officer. Para silang nakakita ng multo o santo. Parang, why would this matriarch come here? And then she said, I just want to see them. I want to talk to them. In effect, that visit was helpful because it gave a tacit signal na you touch them and you have to deal with me. But it took about 3 days before they released Benji.
Tonight, we celebrate a historic victory. It is a victory won not by the candidates, but a victory won by those whose faith and loyalty to democracy and to freedom is unstinting, unlimited, and certainly a model for all generations to come.
We have come here to proclaim the determination of the Filipino people to continue the struggle against the forces of evil incarnated in those who have conspired to rob the people of their freedom.
Yun yung unang beses ako bumoto eh.
Sino binoto mo?
Snap election. Cory. Wala akong finilapan. Yun lang siya lang. Mag-isa lang siya. Tapos yun lang yung laman ng balot ko. Cory lang. Unang beses kang boboto, tapos may pagkakataon ka pang finally mapalitan yung Pagkatapos yata bumoto, pumunta nasa opisina ako. Tulong na sa office.
Kailangan tumulong sa dyaryo. Kasi ang labas ng dyaryo nun, hindi lang isang beses sa isang araw. May labas ng tanghali, may labas ng mid-morning, meron ding labas ng hapon. Sunod-sunod siya. Updates kung ano yung mga nangyayari.
Sobrang tense yung buong opisina. Ako, ang feeling ko noon ito na siguro, no? Ito na, baka kami kunin na, damputin na. Kasi maya't maya, merong tatawag na mukhang papunta dyan ang mga sundalo. Si daddy mo hindi umalis ng opisina. Kasi ang sabi niya, talaga naman siya ang hahanapin. So, dapat nandun siya para hindi malaman na may ibang teams.
When EDSA broke, first night pa lang, tumawag na si Louie Beltran kay Joe Burgos. Siyempre, kahit competitor, magkaibigan niya. Sabi niya, Joe, balita ko mainit na mainit si Ver sa ating dalawa. Mabuti pa mag-take ka din ng precaution. So that's why Joe dispatched the half of the staff to a safe house, di ba? With the instructions na, kung ano man mangyari ko, ma-raid kami, you have to keep publishing. So, here's the money, here's the list of the printers. So we pay them in advance, so they're gonna print whatever you give them. They know that you're going to give them something if something happens to us.
Magkasama kami ni Alex Alan sa press office ng Malacanang. Biglang tumunog yung ting-ting-ting nung wire. Yung wire service nun, yun yung pang-alert nila. Ting-ting-ting-ting-ting yung ticker pag merong breaking news. Okay. So, napatakbo kami doon sa wire room. Nung nakita ni Alex yung istorya, sabi niya, naku, gulo na to.
We have committed this fatal act in order to bring to the world and to our Filipino people that the sad situation in the country is now coming to pass and the day of reckoning is approaching.
Siyempre, ano talaga, ano na eh, hindi mo na maintindihan yung nararamdaman mo after 4 days na barely sleeping, barely eating pero umiinom kami. Talagang kasi pang kalma mo yun eh, no? So I think when he left, a lot of us were drinking beer. Parang yun na yung hapunan namin.
Alam mo, ang daddy mo kasi, hindi siya, very articulate siya, lalo na pagdating sa trabaho. No, pero yung affections niya, hindi siya masyadong articulate at hindi sinasabi. Basta't ang naalala ko yung mukha niyang masaya pero halos maiyak at umakap lang siya. Wala siyang sinabi nun eh. Wala akong maalalang words. Basta wala na siya, moms. Ganun lang.
It will always be wrong to disappear someone. It will always be a crime to commit enforced disappearance, to deprive someone of his freedom and his life. Isa yan na universal principle. Kahit ano pa man ang paniwala mo, kahit anong relihiyon mo, kahit mayaman, mahirap, bata, matanda, walang kahit isa who deserves to be disappeared.
Maraming tinuro ang kasaysayan ng Mosquito Press sa akin. Ngayon, naintindihan ko na ang paninindigan ng V-Forum na to seek and live the truth and share a vision. Kahit ang mga katagang to ang dahilan ng pagkawala ng kapatid ko. Ngayon alam ko na, di patapos ang laban.
Hanap ko'y ligaya't kaunting tahimik, sa luwag at sagana ay sabik. Pagod na ako sa daang matinig, pagod na ako sa kahibig. Hanap ko'y pirasong lupain sa bundok, tanaw sa malayo ay loob. Pagod na ako sa daang magabog, pagod na ako sa mga pagsubok. Sa init ng digma, ako'y nanlamig, nanlumo ang diwat, nanlambot ang bisig. Oh, tila kay daling naiwan na lang ang pinagsimulan. Pinagmumultuhan ng alaala ng kinabukasan. Saan man mapunta'y di matakasan ang daghoy ng bayan na kalaya. Hanap ko'y nahon sa gitna ng unos, naliwanag sa dilim ay lumago. Pagod na sa kahinto sa daan, pagod na ako sa kaalangan. Hanap ko'y lakas at kaunting tangkilik, na dating tibay ng loob ay bumalik. Pagod man ako'y di mananahimik, pagod man ako'y muling iibig. Hanap kong sa daan patungong kalayaan, na bawat hakbang ko'y mabagwisan.